Hello once again, and we are here for one more video. Now we are finished with the sculpting process of the whole character. We have the whole body finished. So the head, arms, legs, torso, everything is finished. Now we have to do the retopology of our character. But you may ask me, what is retopology? Well, if you're not familiar with this word, think of a 3D character as a digital sculpture made of messy triangles, just like the one we have made. So basically, Retopology smooths this out by creating a simpler mesh with fewer details, but with the same shape. This means we're going to be creating the same mesh with the same shape, but with triangles a bit more organized and not that heavy. This makes characters look better, animate smoother, and run faster on our computer, especially in games and movies. When we do this for human characters, we focus on creating a mesh that follows the body's natural flow and anatomy. This means arranging, creating loops, and making a mesh look more natural in general. And this is what we're gonna be doing in this video with the heads. We're gonna be creating better loops, cleaner mesh, and remove a lot of messy triangles. So stick with me and let's get started. So here I have the same file from the last videos, and for that I'm gonna be using just the head because the whole body has like 6 million triangles. And if you don't know, that is extremely heavy for my computer. So I'm gonna be using just the head. I'm gonna select the head and press slash on the numpad. So I'm gonna be seeing only the head. And here on my left side, I have a lot of images that I got from Google Images, which I'm gonna be using as references to do the topology of our character. So as you can see in this image, we have to follow these loops and a cleaner mesh. Because if we press tab and go into the edit mode, we're gonna see that this is extremely heavy and it has much more polygons than we actually needed. So what we're gonna be doing is creating a new mesh based on this one, but the new one is going to be much cleaner and lighter and better in general. So let's get started. I'm gonna be creating a plane by pressing Shift A, mesh, plane. I'm gonna bring it up, scale it down. I'm gonna rotate, bring it to the front like this, scale just a bit more, and I'm gonna be pressing tab and going to the edit mode, and I'm gonna select just one vert. I'm gonna select this vert here because we're gonna be using just one vert for now. I'm gonna press Ctrl R and delete the other 3 verses, and we're gonna have just one, this one here in the middle. I'm gonna be bringing this a bit to the middle like this. And now we're gonna be adding a mirror modifier like this. And I'm gonna be setting up this little option here, clipping. And also, we're gonna be using this tool here, snap. I'm gonna turn it on and select face project. So when we get to move the vertices is gonna be snapped into the surface of the object. And that's what we want. Okay, so I think we can get started now. I'm gonna be starting by these little parts between the eyes and in the nose, basically. And I'm gonna be pressing E to extrude. And it's gonna be basically just that. We're gonna be pressing E the whole time to extrude and create new loops and new vertices. But before that, I'm gonna be going to this option here, view part display, and selecting in front, so that this object is always going to be in front of the other objects and we're always going to be able to see it. And that's what we want. So I'm going to be moving this middle dot up here and this other one around here. And we're going to be making a shape that is similar to the reference. In this case, I'm going to be using this as a reference and the other images as well. I'm going to start by the area around the eyes so you can do the same. As we can see, it has this topology and we're gonna be doing the same. I'm gonna be moving it around like this. Oh, and to move, I'm using the letter G if you still don't know that. Move around, and I'm gonna be extruding it until I have a shape similar to the reference. So I'm gonna extrude, move, extrude, move, extrude, move, side view, extrude, move, extrude, move, until we have the whole shape as we see in the reference. And one more thing, I really recommend you to get references on Google. Just search 3D character retopology face, and you're gonna find a lot, and you can use them as references. So I'm gonna be keeping extruding this until I get finished to this part of the nose. Now we have the baseline for the first part of our character. I'm just gonna be adjusting this a little bit like this. And now we can start creating the faces. I'm gonna select this vertex, this, and this, and press F. As we can see, we have no curves here, so to create another loop cut here, I'm gonna be pressing Ctrl R, increasing the value just a bit, and pressing OK. Now we're gonna be moving these vertices according to the reference of the head. What I mean by that, we're gonna be following the same shape and surface of the first sculpture until we get the same format. I'm gonna move it around, this one too, this one too, this one too, adjust this one just a bit, and follow the same topology of the reference. It's really easy. Sometimes it can be a bit boring, but it's actually pretty easy. So I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm gonna be back in a second. So, one more important thing to say, we have to create a loop that matches with the other loop up here. What I mean by that is, we have this vertex, this vertex, this vertex, and all the others, and the vertex in the middle has to match with them, so it has to have the same number of vertices. And for that, we're just gonna be basically just extruding at the same point and at the same place, like around here. This one is gonna be matching with this. This one is gonna be matching with this. This one is going to be matching with this, and the same thing to the rest. Now we can just select this little edge here and press F, 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 until it completes the whole loop. And now what we're gonna be doing is basically the same thing. We're gonna be extruding vertices, aligning them with the other vertices, creating faces by pressing F, until we have the same shape of the original sculpture, but with a new topology. It's actually pretty easy. I'm gonna be creating another loop cut in this little face here because I think we're gonna be needing a bit more of polygons. So I'm gonna press Ctrl R, and here too, and we're gonna keep doing the same process. So now we have the face mask, I think I can say that, finished. And now we have to adjust it because it is not looking completely good and not completely accurate to the first sculpture. So now I'm just gonna be moving around, adjusting it a bit until it looks good. For that, I have turned off this little option here. I'm not gonna be using this for now. And I'm gonna simply be adjusting it until one point where I like it. Because basically it's just this. We have the eyelids. And by the way, let's do one more thing. I'm gonna press this whole loop, press G twice, move it around, press E, enter, and then S. So now we have one more loop for the eyelids, and now we have to adjust it. I'm gonna be using the snap tool once again, and snap it to the surface of the sculpture. This process can be a bit boring, but by the end of it, it's gonna be worth because we're gonna have a lighter object and a better mask in general, which is gonna be making easier to do a lot of things, to do the whole texture, to do the rigging, animation, and basically everything. I'm gonna be adjusting this vertex here, this one too, until I get something that looks good. This kind of looks like those superhero masks. I like this. I like that. I'm gonna be creating a new loop cut around here just to have a bit more of curves like this. Maybe around here. So I can have a bit more of polygons and a bit more of curves like this. So this is gonna be looking good. And for now, this is all for the eyes. Now I'm gonna be doing the nose. It's gonna be the same process. We're gonna be following the reference and basically extruding the vertices and placing them around in a nice and clean flow. Extrude, move around, extrude, extrude. Same thing here, extrude, move around, extrude, 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 extrude. I'm gonna be starting to create faces because I want to see how it's gonna be looking at the end. So F, 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 F. I think it's gonna be looking really good. This part here may be a bit tricky because we have to have a roundish format, but we're using only squares, so this can be a bit tricky. But let's make sure to follow the reference, which is gonna be something like this. I'm gonna start doing the loop for the nose, so I'm gonna extrude around here and do the same thing as we did with the eyelids and making sure to follow the reference. And as I said, it can be a bit tricky to create a roundish shape only using squares, but by the end of it, we're gonna be also adjusting it until it looks nice and soft and roundish and good in general. Always making sure to follow the reference. I think this is looking good for now. I better not create the hole right now. I'm just gonna make sure I close this little area here. And I create some faces like here and adjust it a bit. And we're gonna be leaving this hole here for later, not now. So I think that now we can start making the lips and the mouth as a whole. Yeah, it is looking really good, really good. Now I'm gonna select one vertex, press Shift D, and move around until I get around the mouth. And it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna be following the reference, creating loops and edges, and basically doing the whole shape as the original one, but following the new flow and references. I'm gonna start not exactly on the lips, but a bit above like this. And I'm gonna create a loop around the mouth, like in one of these references. This is my model, by the way. I'm gonna do something similar to this. But don't forget to match these vertices down here with the ones up there, because we're gonna have to create faces between them later. And if they don't match, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. So always make sure that they match. I think we will be needing to create a bit more of vertices for the bottom lip soon, but for now I'm gonna be keeping this like this. And I'm gonna be creating the upper vertices following the same shape. If this problem comes to happen with you, this is not something too weird. Like you select the middle edges, but you extrude them and the second one doesn't come out. This is because we have this clipping option turned on. This keeps everything in the middle. So to move things around, you just gotta turn it off, and now it's fixed. So now I'm gonna be creating the lips itself. It's not gonna be hard, it's the same process. Just make sure to follow the reference and the same shape of the original sculpture. In my case, I'm gonna be using like 2 or 3 edges in the middle. It's the amount I usually use, but you can do it different, maybe, I don't know. Just make sure to follow the same topology and the references. Usually, I keep the corners of the lips, like around here, really close to this other area. So you can do the same thing if you want. So I noticed that I have to create a new loop cut here because it's gonna be necessary to join this area with this one here. And maybe I have to create a new loop cut down here, as I said before. So I'm gonna be doing it just by pressing Ctrl R. And I'm gonna select this vertex here, extrude and move around like this. I'm gonna be creating a face here and here. And basically here we have to select all this loop by pressing Alt and then clicking on the loop. G tries to move around just a bit. Ctrl R. And I'm gonna select this vertex here and create a face like this. And here the same thing. So now we have to open the mouth and create a little cut here. Sorry, we're gonna be able to open the mouth. I'm gonna select this whole loop and press Ctrl B. And this is gonna be enough. And I'm gonna be deleting all these faces. So we have a little hole here in the middle, but we're not gonna be needing to use this right now. So I'm not gonna go into it right now. Now for the rest of the cheeks, we're gonna be basically following the same shape. In this case, we have to create this green area. I'm just gonna be creating a bit more of loops around this area here. So I'm gonna be selecting this middle loop, Ctrl B, and I think this is enough. I'm gonna select this vert and extrude it around until it matches with the whole loop and with the same amount of vertices. I'm gonna select this one, extrude, 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 following the same shape and the same amount of vertices, so that we can be able to do this and create new faces. Now for this part, I'm gonna be extruding it up here like this, and we're gonna be gathering it to this vertex up here. So I'm gonna extrude this once again, and I think this is enough. Now we can create a face between them like this. Oh no, there's a little mistake here. I have to create one more in between because we have this loop here. So I'm gonna be creating one just by pressing subdivide and move it around like this. Now we can continue. I'm gonna extrude just a bit and create faces in between. Same thing for this bottom part, but I think I'll have to create a bit more of loop cuts around here. So I'm gonna be doing this by pressing Ctrl B. Select this 4 vertices here and move around and create a face in between them. And do the same process to this one here. We are starting to have a much cleaner mesh, and we're gonna be doing the same thing to the rest of the cheeks. So we have to see the side view now and follow the same structure. I'm gonna try to finish the whole cheeks so you can do the same. Just do what I said. Make sure to follow the flow of the original sculpture and make sure to follow the flow of the right topology. And now we can start doing the whole loop around the side view of the head. So I'm gonna start by this area here, extrude, so this one is gonna match with this one here, extrude, so this one matches with this one, same thing up here, and now we're gonna be following the same shape of the original sculpture, but based on the blue line and on the other lines here too. Make sure that the vertices align with each other down there because they have to align so we can create faces in a clean way, just like this. Now this is looking tasty. I have to adjust this upper part here just a bit. We're gonna be using this to make the brows later, by the way, so it's not gonna be a big deal. And now basically what we're gonna be doing is following the blue line and these other lines here until we finish the whole face. It was a bit tricky to do this little part here because it didn't have enough vertices to match with the ones down there. As I said, we have to match them, so we have this little line is pretty clean because it's what we want. We want clean lines and clean vertices in general. And I'm gonna be adjusting this just a bit like this, moving them around. And to get something a bit more smooth, we have to select this whole loop here and press Ctrl B. This didn't work at all, so we have to select these all edges here and move them around like this, and then just move to the front like this. Same thing with these ones up here, move around like this, and move to the front a bit like this, making sure it follows the same shape of the original mesh. I'm gonna be creating a loop, one more loop around here because this is to match with the eyebrows in the future, so it has to be around here. Same thing for these ones up here. And now the extra loops around here, we can just rearrange them like this. And then we're gonna be basically closing this whole area just by extruding more vertices and creating more faces in between until we have the whole thing finished. Now to close this area behind the ears, we have to turn off the mirror so we can see a bit better. And I'm gonna be selecting this little vertex here and extruding a bit to the back of the ear like this. And then we're gonna just do the same thing, extrude, make sure it aligns with the other vertices and create faces. It's basically the same thing. In the future, we're gonna start to make the neck from this part here, so this is important to be clean as well. We're gonna be seeing a topology that is necessary to do the retopology of the body because it has to follow a clean flow as well. So I think this is it, and now we can start doing the ears, which seems to be really easy. So let's just make sure to follow the same idea as we did with the eyes, nose, and mouth. We're gonna be extruding it, following the same shape and following the clean flow until we finish it. For that, I'm gonna be selecting this vertex here, press Ctrl plus on the numpad, and once more, Ctrl I, H to hide, so we have something a bit more cleaner to work with. I'm gonna be extruding this part here, extrude again, and basically extrude these other ones here too. Now for the ears, it can be a bit confusing and a bit tricky because it's kind of hard. But if you don't want to make too many details, this is not going to be a big deal. You can just follow the same shape but without many details. And just make sure to follow the same shape and the same clean flow. So I'm going to be extruding this one, come to the back view like this until I match with this one, and then I press F. Now we have to extrude the whole ear. This is gonna be a bit tricky, but we can get by. And I think that you got the general idea of the whole process. And now we have to close this back part of the ear. It's gonna be kinda hard, but we're gonna be basically closing the edges by pressing F and creating new faces in between them. So for example, around here, I'm gonna be creating a loop cut here, selecting this edge, this, and pressing F to close. And it's gonna be the same thing for the rest of them. And up here, we can maybe select this edge, create one loop here, select this edge, F, 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 and maybe I think we can close here. Yeah, we can. And so this is the back part of the ear. And now we have to do the insides. Mine is not going to have too many details, so it doesn't matter at all. In this little part of the insides, I am not going to make based on the original sculpture. I'm just gonna make sure it has a nice shape, but following the reference. So I'm gonna select this whole edge here and press EZ and extrude to the insides. Scale it down just a bit, scale it down on Y-axis, like this, move around like this. I think I have to create a new edge around here so we can have a bit more of shape and curves in this little part here, like this. And basically we're gonna be closing the ear just like we did with the back part. I'm gonna select this upper edge, F, F, F. And then we're gonna be adjusting it just a bit like this. And of course, this is going to be according to your style once again. So make sure to follow your style in a way that it looks good, but that has a clean topology. I created a new loop cut here because I want a bit more of curves around here in this area, like around here and here and here. And it's basically this for the ear. I'm gonna be selecting this little face here and I'm gonna be extruding it to the sides like this so we can have kind of a hole inside, which is gonna be kind of looking nice to have a little hole. This can sound a bit weird, but and I think this is all. I know this is looking kind of too much squarey, but if you press Ctrl 2, this is gonna be looking just fine. And we're gonna be doing this later. And now we just have to finish the back part of the head following the square shape. So I'm gonna be doing this based on the reference once again, and then we're gonna be finished. In this case, I'm gonna be selecting this edge up here and extruding around like this, making sure it matches with the other vertices down there like this, so we can have a nice flow. And now I'm gonna be selecting all of those and simply extrude, rotate, and then extrude, rotate, following the same shape of the original sculpture, and extrude, rotate, and the same thing. Now we're going to be selecting this little edge here and press F, 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 and we have almost the whole head finished. We just have to close this little back part here. So following the reference, we have to extrude this little part here under the ear, and then we're going to be able to start making the neck. So let's do it. I'm going to be selecting, let me see, I think it's this part here. It must be around here, I would say. So I'm going to be selecting this part and simply extrude. And I'm going to be creating something kind of like a loop around the whole head until it reaches the other side. I'm going to be selecting this edge here and making sure it comes around here. And I'm going to be closing this with a face and this one here too. Same thing, I'm going to be selecting this, closing here. And same thing for this part. And we're gonna be doing this until we finish the whole side of this part and then this part. It's basically do a whole sphere following the original shape. So this is kind of just that, and now we have to make sure to finish this part here until the other side. And by the end of that, we have to make sure these edges up here matches with this one down here. If it doesn't, we can simply press Ctrl R, create a loop cut, and this is probably going to work and fix the problem. It worked. I didn't think this would work at first. I think I would have to fix some stuff, but it worked. I'm gonna press Alt 8, and now we have the whole head finished. And now I'm just gonna be adjusting a little detail, like this first is around here. I'm gonna be moving up a bit like this. And I'm gonna select everything and press Ctrl B. Move this a bit up and this a bit down like this, so we can have something a bit more curvy. Same thing for this one here, same thing for this one. And basically, I'm just gonna be adjusting and making sure it looks nice and round. But I think it's pretty okay, to be honest. This is probably all. We have the whole head finished. We can create the eyes and the mouth. And from here, from this loop here, we're gonna be creating the neck, which is gonna be the next video when we're gonna be creating the torso. But for now, I'm gonna go into the object mode, press slash on the numpad. With the new head selected, I'm gonna be select the body, slash on numpad, select the new head, edit mode. And I'm gonna be creating a little detail here. I can turn off this little option here in front. I'm not gonna be needing this now for now. And I'm gonna be selecting this whole edge down here. I'm gonna press E, S, and make sure it aligns with the neck, at least just a bit. I'm gonna hide the body for now and make sure this looks nice and roundish, because from here we're gonna be making the neck in the next video. I'm gonna select the whole loop, move around like this. I'm gonna be turning on this little option here and move around just a bit to make it soft. This is looking a bit weird for now, but it's because we have to fix some little details in the edges, like this one here has to look much more smoother and roundish, so we can just move around like this. Same thing for the others. And we are not going to be creating the neck in this video. This is gonna be for the next video. But I want to adjust just a little stuff around this area here, so we can have something a bit more cleaner for the next video. And now I'm gonna be extruding this whole loop, so I'm just gonna be pressing E, Z, rotate a bit, and then press SZ0. I'm gonna scale it down just a bit, rotate like this. And for now, this is okay. And in the next video, we're gonna be making the neck. Now we can do just some final details, which is gonna be with the eyes and with the mouth and the nose. I'm gonna select just the new head. It has a much more cleaner topology. And I'm gonna be going to the edit mode, select the whole loop from the eyes, press E, extrude on Y, and then I'm gonna be scaling up just a bit like this, and then on Z, same thing. Let me see from inside. And now we can press S, Y, 0 like this. Move it a bit more inside like this. It doesn't matter at all because we're gonna be having the eyeball here, so we're not gonna be able to see this little detail. And now we're gonna be doing the same thing for the nose. We're gonna select the whole loop, extrude, scaling down a bit like this. extrude, scale it down. And this time I'm gonna be closing it, so I'm gonna be selecting this edge here, press F, F, and now we can close it. I'm gonna select these faces and move it up a bit like this, so we have a nice hole. And the same thing for the mouth. Remember when we created a bevel in this area here? Yeah, so now we have a hole, and now we're gonna be selecting the whole loop like this. And we're gonna be doing the same thing as we did with the eyes. Extrude on Y. And this time we're gonna be pressing SY0. And with that, we're gonna be pressing Ctrl plus on numpad. Ctrl plus once again. Ctrl I, H to hide. And I'm gonna be selecting this edge here, move it up. Same thing for the bottom one. Same thing for this one. And we're gonna be basically creating a circle, or at least something that looks like a circle. I think this is looking good. I'm gonna select the whole loop, press Ctrl I, Alt H, Ctrl Y once again, and then move it to the sides like this. Scale it, scale on Z axis like this. But make sure it doesn't come out on the other side like this, because this has to be inside the head. This is gonna be the inside of the mouth. So let's rotate, move around, scale like this, and do the same thing like this once again. Now we can scale it down, extrude, scale it down, Ctrl I, H, and we're gonna be closing this hole. So I'm gonna be selecting these vertices here, press F, select this edge here, and press F, 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 F until it closes everything. Now we have the inside of the mouth. In a future video, we're gonna be creating the teeth and the tongue, but not now, because this is enough for today's video. This ended up getting much bigger and much longer than what I thought it would. But now we have the finished head with a nice topology and much more cleaner and good in general. I'm just gonna be selecting this edge here and create one more loop down here and move it down like this. So this is all. Now we're gonna be doing one more thing. I'm gonna be selecting the whole head, options, origins, and move this little dot here to the inside like this. I'm gonna turn it off. And I'm gonna be renaming this as Felix Head Retopology. And this is all. And that's all for this video. We finished doing the retopology of the head of the character, and now it's much more cleaner and lighter. I hope you got something similar to my model, and I hope that you got something new from this video. I also hope this was useful and easy to understand. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe so you're not gonna be missing the next videos, which is gonna be doing the retopology for the torso. And like, subscribe. If you have any doubts, you can comment down here. I'm gonna be trying to answer you all. And that's all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.